Okay, I think we already have 58 people, so we should kick it off. We only have 2 hours. So, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from. Thank you so much for taking out the time for this session. Very excited to finally kick it off. It's been in the works for a while. Welcome to DSGCP AI Sprint number 1. As most of you know by now, I have been super excited about AI. I really can't recall the last technology shift that got me this fired up. It truly feels like a once in a lifetime inflection point. And at DSGCP, we've been focused on getting the firm, meaning DSGCP AI first since the end of last year on a war footing. Along with that, getting our portfolio AI first goes hand in hand. And through the last 6, 7 months, we've done a lot of one-on-one sessions. Urmit has been leading it with our portfolio. And now we plan to launch these portfolio-wide sessions for the rest of the year. That's the reason you see number 1 against AI Sprint. This is going to be the first of many such sprints. The world is changing at a dizzying pace, and we really have to learn together and learn fast. Next slide, please, Urmit. So I would just start off giving you the context and a preamble to what we've set out to do, and then I'll hand it over to Urmit to take you guys through the first AI sprint. I think the focus for this session will be on the marketing function. We'll also have some of our founders talk through real life examples on what they've been doing with AI. But to start off with just the impact of AI and why I am so passionate about it. I think AI is not just the next big thing. It is the biggest thing since electricity and fire. The four gentlemen that you see here are at the forefront of AI. And it's in Sundar Pichai's words. He says that AI is the most profound technology shift since fire and electricity. It's way bigger than internet or mobile. So it is expected to penetrate every walk of life. So it's really important that we appreciate the impact of AI and how the world is transforming. And it's just not about the magnitude of change. If you look at what Arvind Srinivas, the CEO of Perplexity, says, it's just not the magnitude of change, but also the pace of change. He says, first 3 months of 2025, the progress that the AI platforms have achieved is far more than what was achieved in the last 2 years. So that's the pace of change that we're living through. And it's very important that we're on top of it. And Arvind, and I quote, says that he can't predict more than 3 years out for Perplexity because the pace of change is so rapid that they just have a 3 month plan and then they recalibrate based on the latest developments, advances, etc. Now, what does this mean? Such a massive shift happening at that kind of pace. Satya Nadella goes to the extent of saying that the world GDP can grow by 10%. That's like almost a 3x increase in the GDP growth at a world level. The last time the world had that kind of GDP growth was in the Industrial Revolution. So that's the scale of impact that these guys are expecting. And Sam Altman says that 10 years out, each one of us can actually be as impactful as Elon Musk, if you take him as the example of the most impactful person today. So, that should give you a sense of what these people are expecting. And, you can use your judgment on discounting some of these as super optimistic, assumptions, etc. But the fact of the matter is, it's a disruption like nothing else that we've seen in our lifetime, and it's happening at a frenetic pace. And it's very, very important that all of us internalize it very deeply. And personally, I've seen firsthand on the difference that it has made to my life in terms of productivity and even as a firm at DSGCP. The level of productivity that we've been able to achieve since we started working towards becoming an AI first firm. To make it real, same time last year, I thought we needed two more people at DSGCP, given the workload that we had. And towards the end of last year, we realized that we don't need two people. We realized that by using AI, we actually can do more than what we were doing, right? With the two hires that we had planned. So that should give you a sense of how the world is changing. In Silicon Valley, people are reimagining org charts. They are thinking about org charts where human supervise AI agents and also an org chart where AI agents supervise humans. Literally, they're going back to first principles on how an organization should function in an AI first world. It may seem like it's a bit of an exaggeration, but I truly believe that we're not far from that kind of a world. And it's important that each one of you appreciates it deeply. AI is coming after each one of our jobs. I don't mean it as a threat. I just mean, the point that I'm trying to make is it's important that we make AI our friend and truly dominate in the AI world. And there's nothing to feel threatened by, but if we just live in oblivion and are ignorant of AI, then we really run the risk of our jobs becoming redundant and our businesses becoming redundant. Uh, Next slide, Urmit. So yeah, that brings me to the project that we've been on since the end of last year. We called it Mission AI Domination. Uh, the AI world is already here, and it's not about adapting. I think in sooner or later, most of the world will adapt to the AI world, but it's really about making AI our friend and truly dominating in the AI era. Because in our view, the companies and brands that will be AI first will leapfrog every other brand, right? We've seen how the D2C wave played out. I think AI will be like 100x of that, just in terms of brands and businesses that approach life with an AI first mindset. So we've started implementing this at DSGCP. It's been like 6, 7 months now. And our target is by the end of the year, we'd like the entire DSGCP portfolio to be AI first as well. As I said, it is the biggest tech revolution in centuries, and it's happening at a frenetic pace. So the call of the hour is to act fast and act decisively. Now, while AI domination, etc., may seem like very high level stuff, uh, I just wanted to distill what it really means, from our lens, right? The first one is whenever I speak to someone and ask them whether they've started adopting AI, whether they are becoming an AI first firm, I normally the reaction or answer I get is, yeah, the marketing team is using it, the creative team is using it, so on and so forth. But that's not what AI first is. In our view, being AI first is a mindset. It's not a tactic. It's not a tool. It's a mindset change, right? And it starts from the founders. The founders have to be the AI champions, and it flows top down, and it's a state of mind. And I can tell you that personally, for me, every single question or doubt in my head, I first chat with a chat GPT or Claude before even attempting to think through it. And I can tell you how the cognitive load has decreased dramatically for me in the AI world. I feel like lighter in my head because earlier I used to, just wrestle with the problem in my head for a few hours, sometimes days. Nowadays, I just don't bother. I just share it with a chat GPT, Claude, brainstorm, and I save a lot of effort, right? So it's a mindset change. It's not a tactic. That's the important one. And I think the three thumb rules that I would recommend is first is every one of you on the team should ask themselves whether they're at least 3x more productive in the AI world versus pre-AI. If not, you're not leveraging AI enough. please use AI tools a minimum of 2 hours every day. That's like a rule at DSGCP because there's no one way to use AI. The best way to learn is by just playing with it and you'll figure your own use cases, right? And the third one, as I said, is in order to be AI first, it has to start at the top. And we've seen it in our own portfolio. The companies that are ahead of the curve compared to the rest are the ones where the founders have taken it on, they are passionate about it, and they are getting the team to adopt, right? So I hope that gives you a sense of, that's our distillation of what it really takes to be AI first in mindset. Next slide. Yeah. Before I hand it over to Urmit, I just wanted to give a quick example. As I said, I've been using AI as a thought partner for the last 7, 8 months. And I just wanted to give you an example to make it real. As most of you know, one of my inspirations is Charlie Munger. And a favorite prompt that I use all the time is to ask AI to act like someone you admire. In my case, I've used it for Charlie Munger a lot. So I would just ask AI to act like Charlie Munger and give me an advice in the situation that I'm facing. And it works like a charm. Whoever you look up to, you're struggling with something. Maybe you look up to Steve Jobs. You want to know what Steve Jobs would have done in that situation. Ask AI that. And the answer you get is amazing. It'll make it real with principles, mental models that Steve Jobs or Charlie Munger is known for, and will give you the best advice. So, for instance, I think Hitesh is here. Hitesh, thank you for being a sport and allowing me to share this. So, I asked AI to help me evaluate our investment into killer spices and think like Charlie Munger, right? And the first thing that the AI did was use the inversion principle, a principle that Charlie Munger is best known for. So I think it's quite it's legible. So it just said, using the inversion principle, let me think through what would guarantee that this investment would fail, right? And then the next slide, please, Urmit. Okay, I don't think it's readable, but it gave me we can share the deck later where it's more legible. It shared me a list of all the inverted outcomes and preemptive tactics, right? What could go wrong if we go ahead with the killer investment? And what are the tactics that we should proactively adopt to ensure that, you know, killer doesn't go down that path, right? So this would have otherwise taken me a few hours or few days, but now it happens in a matter of minutes. Um, so yeah, this should like give you a sense and you can apply it. Just think of any situation who you think is the best known leader that can address that situation and put it in the prompt and see the magic unfold. So with that, I'll hand it over to Urmit, but before that, I just want to leave you guys with just the gravity of the change that we are living through and the pace of change that's happening. So I really, if anything, I would, urge all of you to understand the urgency and the importance of becoming an AI first organization soon. Please use the Decoding AI WhatsApp group we've created. There are new discoveries, new advancements every single week. We have good engagement already, but I encourage all of you to participate a lot more. With that, let me hand over to Urmit for the rest of the session. Over to you, Urmit.
Yeah, thank you, Hari. So I would want to start this session with addressing two major problem statements. If I were to put this across into some sort of fundamental approach. Why 90% of the brand are still stuck without AI? So I think the one of the questions that I really want to address over here is there's a lot of noise outside in the world, right? You will see technical jargons like RAG, fine-tuned models, agentic AI flows, etc. You will see new model announcement every week, right? And there's no clear ROI metric. So the only three single questions that at least I look at, and maybe there's a very nuanced approach to this as well, right? As we keep on working on it, how much time does it save? How much revenue does it generate? What's the measurable ROI? These are the three questions that I think we should tackle. And the way I'm planning to approach this presentation, I'm just going to use essential tech stack to derive 90% of the value. I'm not going to use any agentic AI flows or any coding or maybe not even fine-tuned models, right? So I'm going to use ChatGPT Plus or Pro, Claude Pro, maybe a couple of content generation tools like Midjourney, Flora, Fauna, Kling, etc., and 11 Labs. Now to approach marketing, right? The first thing that so we have covered marketing and the other function as well. So to start off with the marketing, I'm covering a couple of demos over here. The first one will be about the content generation. So if we look at the problem statement, we discussed what is the fundamental problem statement, and then I've seen a lot of just one moment. Yeah. So the first issue that usually comes up is the talent, right? Now, the issue with the using ChatGPT is it's at times difficult to write the prompts. Now, if I want to do content generation, the first thing I would do here for GoDesi is figure out the brand guidelines using the O3 model, go through the GoDesi website and understand the Imli Pops, which is one of the products. Now it researches the website, the social media pages, etc., and understand the products as well. And basis that, it arrives at its own understanding of the product as well as the brand guidelines. As a part of step 2, I gave it a raw product image and I asked it to write a detailed prompt for creating a static image ad for Instagram basis the above product. Now, one thing you might have noticed over here is that I'm using meta prompting. I'm not prompting it myself. I'm asking ChatGPT to create the prompt, and it is defining everything right from the colors, usage, hex code, notes, etc., typography. And as a step 3, I'm asking it to create image basis the above, which is this image. So you get the output in a couple of minutes. Now, as a step 2, I would want to figure if I can create a lifestyle image as well, which is a comparison between GoDesi versus the regular or market leader. Again, it gave me the prompt and I ask it to create image basis the above, and this is the response that I get. So two takeaways. One, I think creating images or creating any sort of content, be it text, be it image content, has become very easy. And prompting is an issue, but if you use meta prompting, it becomes really easy solve. The second one is icons custom GPT for ads ideation. So what we
बाजू के ग्राउंड में पड़ा है उस तरफ जब जाओगे ना तो लगा देना आपके हिसाब से सही है ग्राउंड बाजू में जो जगह खाली है ना
yes. So on the icon case study, right? What icon did is created a custom GPT wherein they fed their brand guidelines as well as all the product related information over there. Now the advantage of creating a custom GPT is that you can use it to automate content quality check. So I've done a couple of prompts over here to understand how it works and to showcase the examples as well. So they're fed in the brand tonality over here. You can check how the brand guidelines as well as the tonality has been fed at the back end, including the audience as well. And now to check whether this actually works, one thing that I'd done was uploaded a image. I'd uploaded a Mokobara image. How would you, so I don't think it's showing over here, but how would you rate this ad? How aligned is it with the icon's brand identity? And it gave the overall assessment of 3 out of 10. So in my head, it's automating quality check for the creatives. It's automating the creative or the text generation. And you can use custom GPT to automate social media creatives as well. So there are a lot of use cases for doing this. And the third one is the AI video. Now, so this is one of the simple videos that I had created in probably 15 minutes. I created one image and then gave it a prompt to the Kling, and I get the output over here. So what we have seen over there earlier was the image creation, and from the image creation, now I'm switching it to the video creation. So these are the tools that I've used for the content generation. For image generation, ChatGPT, Midjourney, Flora, Fauna. And if you have to think a bit nuanced, right? For image generation, there are certain images which are meant for social media, which are supposed to be more aesthetic in nature and not just textual. Maybe Midjourney will do better over there. ChatGPT and Flora, Fauna are best for the performance creatives. For video generation, Flora and Fauna, Kling AI, Runway ML. And these are some of the examples that our brands have done as well. This is one of the videos that GoDesi did. Or if you look at the creatives, the photo shoot that GoZero has done for a couple of the products by just uploading the raw product image.
ಯಾಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಗೋಸಿರುತ್ತೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ತಂತಾರಲ್ಲ AI.
Can I request everyone to be on mute, please?
Now, the second slide is how do we use it for data analysis and research? So the first one was content and image generation. The second one is about the data analysis and research. So this is one of the raw files that I had, wherein I had 7,000 rows of data for sunscreen as India market. And then there is sunscreen, the US Google data. So this is the Google Keyword Planner data, which has the search terms and 48 months of data on how many searches are taking place for each month. Now, to analyze this data, this would have taken a lot of time, and the idea was to understand how this market behaves. I uploaded this Excel file on Cloud. Over here, I'm uploading the Excel file, right? I would first upload the file on the Cloud. My first prompt would be around looking for the search. I would just explain the file. And then over there, I'll start playing with the file using the natural language query, which is by saying that, hey, I would want to understand. The first thing that I would want to understand is how is US and India market behaving in terms of total searches across the sun care category by year, right? So this is what I get. Now, bear in mind that this tech is still in its nascent stage, and the data might not be entirely correct. So that's one point to think about. Now, if we the another point that I would want to understand is how is sun care as a category behaving in the US and the India market by different nuances. For example, by format type, what are the number of searches for cream, lotion, stick, gel, oily, dry, sensitive, etc., and SPF types as well. So if I were to do this manually, it would had been very, very difficult, or let's say almost impossible as well, because each search term, my bad, each search term has to be categorized into different categories, say branded or generic, or then you say into let's say probably let me take a couple of examples here, right? If I were to categorize them into oily or dry into sensitive, this would have been more or less an impossible task if done manually. So not only that it has been able to reduce my time, but it also opens up new avenues when it comes to analytics. One more really interesting insight was that I wanted to understand was how did brand searches fare by brands over a period of time. So this is one more data set that I had asked on how did Equalogica did in 21, 22, 23, 24, and what was the YOY growth. Similarly, how did the US market do as well? But you get the gist, right? So that you can play along with Claude or you can play along with ChatGPT or Claude when it comes to analytics side of things. Now, let me pick out a more relatable example, which is meta ads. So I had three row reports from Meta around the performance side of things, right? You just directly download those reports from the Meta ads. I uploaded them to ChatGPT, and over over there I had given it some sort of like background. This is sample data for XYZ brand related to Meta ads, analyze this, right? I get a really good summary saying that what is the spends by month, impression, indicative reach, average frequency, CPM, etc. But now what I wanted to understand was how does meta ads correlates with the quick commerce data for that brand. So I had the quick commerce data for that particular brand. I had the meta ads data. And hence what I wanted to understand was the city-wise spends, city-wise sales. And if you look at the spends, this is an indicative spends because Meta gives you state-wise data. But I've been able to do some sort of correlation over here on how do we get these things. So this entire process took me around 10 to 15 minutes, which would ideally take me at least half an hour to 45 minutes because I have now the data by cities, sales by city, ROAS at an overall level, D2C ROAS separately, April the same thing. So you see, you can play around a lot with this sort of data, right? A good example of research and analysis and this is by far the most agentic AI that I'll go in this entire discussion, would be how do you use operator. So let me pick out one. So this is not me. This is a video I've recorded from operator, wherein the problem statement is I want to understand. This is the problem statement. I would want to understand how the does Attenborough ads compared to Crompton ads on using the meta ads library. Now this is a manual process. This is a process wherein you write down Attenborough ads, check them how they what are the hooks, uh, where are they appearing, what are the different formats that they are using, what is the look and feel of the ads, etc. Right? Then the same thing you do for Crompton as well, and then you get the output. Now, as before, I've given it a simple prompt to write a prompt, which is meta prompting for this particular operator. Basis that it gave me the prompt, I ran the prompt, and then this is what it did. So when I run the prompt, it automatically uses agentic AI to go through all the available ads data. It has searched for Attenborough. It is searching, it is setting up the timelines now. Let me just play the video for you guys and then we take it ahead from there. So after going through all of this, so for 1 minute 15 seconds, this is the output that we see. How does Meta ads compare with the Crompton in terms of active ads? What was the platform scene? What were the creative trends like? What products are they promoting? What is the copy and messaging pattern over there? What is the targeting over there? So roughly, I would say at least 70% of the work has been done by operator in this case. To give one more example of operator, or no, let me just at least I think I'll give that example in the on the operations or finance side of things. Now, this is the most agentic that I'm going in this presentation. As promised, 90% of the value comes from barely using ChatGPT, comes from just using ChatGPT, Claude, and couple of other media tools like Midjourney or say Florafona or Kling AI. Now, if we were to look at whatever examples we have looked at, right? Couple of things that will stand out, or how will marketing change in the next 12 to 18 months? This is our shot. This is us taking a stab at what will change a lot. So search to answer engine optimization is one thing that we are seeing, wherein the fundamental levers that's changing is that people are going to search, users are going to search on the LLMs instead of going through 10 different links and ads. Action for the next 90 to 180 days should have a very optimized website for the LLMs, which means converting the FAQs PDP into schema marked Q&A blocks. Should track the share of answer box for this sort of queries, right? So if you write down the prompts for your category, is your brand appearing over there? That should be the one of the KPIs, and this is the 12 to 18 month reality. So we'll probably see a new digital shelf or new digital advertising channel over there. Second is content cost is almost negligible or equivalent to zero, because now you can create fundamental levers that are changing is that everyone can create content, right? ChatGPT can create quality copy in minutes. You can create images, videos in minutes as well, as we saw. So what's fundamentally changing is that we are stepping into infinite content era. So two implications over there. One is that brand voice becomes everything because there's infinite content, so sameness is going to be there. So and this is a very, very long term thing, but good thing to keep in mind is that brand voice becomes more important. Second is now that you have plethora of content, always on experimentation becomes default. So action for next 90 to 180 days outdoes the category with the experiments, right? Hyper personalized high value surfaces. That means the PDP images, FAQs, your A plus content, product images, just hyper personalize them. If someone is coming from Mumbai, Pune, how can you show them content which is relevant to them? A very novel thing would be that we will see AI generated UGC campaigns, which means this will even disrupt the influencer space per se. So 12 to 18 month reality will see differentiation equals to proprietary tone. This was prevalent before as well, but this will become super important now. ROAS will change to MPI. This is a metric that I came up with. Feel free to think around this or take it with a pinch of salt, which is marginal profit per incremental exposure, and model lift versus baseline tracking, which is connected to again what we spoke about, always on experimentation. Third is that first party data becomes competitive mode because there are only two levers in AI. One is your data, other is the AI literacy, right? So if you want, if you have data of your own, like what we saw in the custom GPT with icon, right? Um, you will have some sort of advantage. So I remember during my time at Attenborough, we were thinking about getting a CDP. CDP is nothing but customer data platform. But at that point of time, it didn't make sense. But now when I think of it, I think making an investment here in the next 6 to 8 months will pay off for sure. We'll have to think in nuanced way for this one, but would definitely keep this as a high priority item. And the fourth is the AI first skill set. So we know that there are AI tailwinds over there. So then how do we ensure that these processes are supported by the AI first skill set, which means new role will emerges? Can we hire, train one or two model ops leads who can maintain or build prompt libraries, work alongside the other functions, etc. Um, Coming to the approach in AI in operations, HR, and customer support. So for the first AI sprint, we wanted to go really deep. We wanted to do a deep dive in marketing, and we'll do similar deep dive in operations, HR, and customer support in the upcoming AI sprint. But just to give you an idea of how it looks like, let me start with the NPD research, right, for GoZero. So, as discussed, I have put out the entire website of GoZero over here. Let ChatGPT understood what's it about. Then, as a next step, I've given it what is deep research, and now the main prompt, right, that I've given it. Let me just scroll down. Now I've given it the context that I would want to understand. I would want it to do a multi-step comprehensive research on global ice cream and frozen dessert market, and would want to understand the key flavors worldwide, what is trending over there, and would want to come up with 5 ideas that I can look at from the NPD perspective, which is the outcome, right? So global flavor trends, emerging format innovations, potential Indian fusion concepts, 5 key recommendations with rationale, feasibility, pros and cons. Now, if we look at, so ChatGPT did this research for a period of roughly 25 to 30 minutes and came up with this report, which is fantastic, right? Because it's mentioning all the citations, everything on where it's getting what data from, and some really good ideas over there on what does NPD look like for GoZero from their current brand point of view. This would have taken a lot of time, but I think this was just one of the use cases of deep research in NPD. Now let me open up something in the operation side of things. So GoZero has launched their own GPT, custom GPT, wherein they would want to understand the sales data from quick commerce in the GPT itself. So, for example, they can ask what was the Instamart sales in Mumbai in the month of May. It'll give you the data. And the data accuracy is 100% from whatever we have been able to confirm. Now, let's say I would want to understand the data of sales every day, every Monday in Instamart in the month of May, draw a graph versus the other days. So I get a really good graph on how does the sales look like. But now I want to understand how do we look at it in terms of product, right? On Monday, what flavor sells the most versus sell the most versus the other days. And then I wanted to understand by product as well as by the flavors by platforms. So custom GPT can change the game for you from the point of view that I don't think dashboard will stop existing, but it will add a more ease of approach for the team members to start looking at the data using the natural language query. So this is something that we would want to apply for meta ads, apply for sales data, spends data, probably have sales and spends by channel in the same custom GPT, which would allow us to look at different correlations. Um, Let me showcase quarterly reports again as part of the operations. If you look at this, at DSG, we usually take a look at the quarterly reports on a frequent basis. We would want to understand how they're doing and how do we see what are the strategic narratives that are around the portfolio. For some reason, this is not working. But basically, what I've done over here is I've asked Operator GPT to upload all these reports in my Google Drive over here. And no, the video is not working, but this is what it has been able to do on its own without me putting a single effort over there. Apart from that, for customer support, I would highly recommend checking out Google AI Studios, giving a couple of links over here because of the time, uh, because of the time we have at our end, would want to take this conversation up in the next session. Now, let me invite, so for the founder POV, let me invite Kiran and share his point of view on what he has been able to do. And for just the mention, Kiran is sort of the AI champion.
If the team was doing it manually. So that's like almost 3x more efficient, which is what Hari mentioned in the very first slide. So this is the second most interesting use cases. I think the photo shoot and images which we generated through AI, I think you have taken it up earlier in the slides.
Yes.
Now, uh, what one interesting thing which I am like personally doing, and there is no team involved here. I think most of you here would be knowing that I am super active on LinkedIn, and I have found LinkedIn to be one of the like strongest platforms for brand awareness as well as uh, founder awareness, where I share personal journeys on how I have gone from my family business to building my own startup and so on. Now, for me, writing consistently, while writing comes naturally to me, at times I used to face certain like creative blocks, and I'm not able to consistently put content out there, especially when you have a lot of other things to look at. So what I've started doing in the last 1.5 months, and I think Urmit has shared this, is I've started experimenting. So I put the topics, I feed in the topics to AI. Some of the topics, the entire copy along with the image and all the hashtags are generated by ChatGPT. I just do some little bit of tweakings to ensure that the hooks are correct and it's as engaging. And then on some other topics, I write it them down myself. So what I've seen is that as ChatGPT learns more about my style of writing, the kind of topics I write on, uh, the impressions, the engagement which a post generated by GPT on LinkedIn is kind of almost at par as if I was, writing it myself using my own thoughts, my own creativity. And the best part is, if I start writing or if I take up a topic, it would take around 1.5 hours to 2 hours, maybe depending on how complex the topic is and how do I want to layer it. And this I can now do in 15 to 20 minutes. So I think every morning this is my ritual. That let's say 9:30 when I'm in office, I first just take the topics which are there in my minds. I also use Notion to kind of schedule my entire month's LinkedIn calendar, so that kind of makes it more efficient as well. Then I feed the topic into GPT along with the relevant image which I want. It comes up with the content. I schedule it on LinkedIn depending on what time works best and all the algorithm hacks, and then it just publishes it. And I then measure my monthly or weekly targets which I want for my content to perform. So yeah, I think this is another very strong use case which I feel that most of our founders, and I see a lot of founders now starting to kind of share their personal journey on LinkedIn more. And the biggest block, the as founders is one, of course, we can't do it consistently because like we're firefighting all the time with multiple other aspects of business. And second, uh, writing in a way to get more impressions to make your kind of won't come naturally to everybody. So I think this is something where we should definitely leverage Chat GPT.
Perfect. Kiran, let me ask you a couple of questions. So, given that I've been working with you from last 3 months, so what prompted you to personally lead and intensify GoZero's AI initiatives rather than fully delegating them? So, this is one thing
The
that.
number one reason is that Hari has been on my tail. But jokes apart, I think as I mentioned earlier, I think if the founder has to pick, couple of themes, broad themes, regardless of which category they are in, and they have to kind of, go deep and just learn everything there is to learn about the channel. or the theme or the tool. So quick commerce, like I was like first couple of years, I used to personally sit with all the category managers, personally meet all like in their HOs and sit with them, like build those personal relationships. And now we're kind of seeing the benefit in our revenue. Similarly, I feel if I invest my time today, and my team also kind of sees that, oh, the founder is spending 2 hours every day on ChatGPT. Oh, the founder is sending some examples, on how he's writing content or how he's kind of using this to become more efficient. I think that kind of galvanizes everybody, and that inertia of the resistance to adopting a new tech or a new platform kind of then kind of goes away. So I think this is something which every founder is like. For example, if I do this, I see others. The best example is today at least 8 to 10 people from my team are now using GPT to consistently write on LinkedIn. So I think I see more people coming back to me and saying, "Oh, how come so many people from your team are now posting content on LinkedIn?" So I think that I see is like very very encouraging, and because I started doing it personally, like everybody follows suit.
Perfect. And let me ask this as well. What are your thoughts on skill set or team building around the AI?
uh, I think AI is very new, number one. Number two, uh, I think that everybody today has, like, especially we are a very lean startup. So let's say today I have everybody who has their hands full with all the day-to-day, anyways, the tasks and activities are going on, plus it's peak season. So very difficult for me, for example, to have somebody from supply chain kind of immediately jump into, finding AI solutions, because in terms of bandwidth, they're already choked with, the daily work. So what I have kind of realized is I will need to have at least 1 or 2 people who are like whose KPIs, for example, are that they have to come up with AI solutions. They have to talk to the multifunctional team. They have to understand their pain points. Just spend half an hour with them. What the challenge is. Now you work on AI solutions, whether you want to use GPT, whether you want to use Mid Journey or Kling or whatever you want to come up with solutions. Test them out. So, for example, the GPT which we made for quick commerce. So Rohit, for example, understood from the quick commerce team what are their pain points. Then he went about building the entire custom GPT. We took inputs, we take feedbacks. Now we roll it out, and everybody is kind of very happy, right? So what I've realized is somebody has to take the pain and make the solution. Now, so initially, very important to have, I would say, 2 people, because the use content, video is very different from using AI for solutions which are more analytical, logical, like number crunching, research. So I would probably say that a left brain and a right brain kind of an AI champion in the company is a must.
Understood. So analytical AI champion and a creative AI champion is what you would put
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Super, super. Thank you so much, Kiran. And probably you are the AI champion in the founders for us. So I would love if Vinay from GoDesi can share a couple of insights as well. Hi, Vinay, are you there?
Hey, hi, Urmit.
Hi, Vinay. Vinay, would like you to address or probably help us with the first question. In what specific ways has AI transformed your daily activities and strategic decision thinking, as well as that of your team?
So, Urmit, I'll be honest, I think we are a little far away from AI being transforming our daily activities. But I mean, we're on our way towards that. We've tried to start. It is still at a stage um, where we kind of go to AI when everything kind of else fails, and then you try and figure out if it is going to take too much time, then you go towards AI. So from our perspective, I think we're not AI first as yet, but we are on the path towards there, trying to figure out various solutions which can get us there. And obviously, conversations with you and meetings like these and sessions like these kind of help us and help each of these POs were then supposed to be created into our ERP software. So essentially, that used to take a lot of time because these two systems were not talking to each other. And hence we needed a single resource to be able to doing this every single day, right? And typically, when these POs come, they come multiple cities, multiple SKUs. And towards the end of the month, specifically with offline, there are quite a few POs which end up coming, and even in QCOM on a particular would be giving them. So what happened is Akhil kind of worked with a vendor who would essentially be able to convert all of these PO into ERP. So it is kind of connecting both the systems. So now everything, as soon as the PO flows in, and you just by a click of a button, as you can see in the video, it converts into our ERP POs or sales orders, and then that gets generated. So what used to take a single resource now ends up not taking any resource, or maybe 1/10 of his time, what he was essentially using it earlier. So that's one of the key use cases that we have used AI for.
Understood. And can you help us understand what has your experience been on the photo shoot or creatives in general?
So I think a lot of our earlier we were doing a lot of photo shoots through a professional photographer, and that used to take some time. You need the entire packaging to be created. Sorry, there's some background noise, but there is. So we needed the final mock-up of the product to be ready, and then post that, that final mock-up would get printed and then would come to us, and then essentially a brief will go out to the photographer, and then the photographer will shoot those things. So it used to take at least a turnaround time of 3 days. And now, if you are in a hurry to launch a particular product, you can give a brief, great prompt that you will be able to create quite a few images at a very short notice. And specifically, in case if there is a brand guideline which has already been given to the platform, then it is able to generate a lot of portfolio products rather than which you do not really need photo shoot for, right? Everybody knows how a motichur laddu would look like or how a besan laddu would look like, so you don't really need to get a photo shoot done. And if there are images already existing in the public domain, you could use that. So that has helped. We are also trying to figure out how do we get the mundane part of packaging automated through AI, right? So on the back panel is pretty problematic. It again takes at least a couple of days back and forth between the legal team and the quality team and the design team, and none of the designers enjoy doing back panel. So that is something that we're trying to experiment with. If you can give them rules, can you use those rules to kind of eliminate the entire back panel, and then that back panel gets generated in 10 minutes? So how can designers bandwidth get freed from mundane tasks to doing something much more interesting, which they also enjoy, and as a benefit, we as an organization kind of also benefit much better. So that's another thing that we've done on photo shoot.
Super. And any thoughts on the skill set or team building around AI? On any early thoughts over there?
I think my thought differs a little bit from the point of view of having champions. I think that there has to be a more shift towards like I mean, again, this might sound a little I don't know, dated or philosophical in some sense, but if you see when computers came in, right? I mean, people who are used to using computers right up front were able to take advantage of that much better, rather than having somebody as an AI champion in an organization which will drive IT or drive computer usage or internet usage, etc. Right? So I think the key piece here is that every single person in the team needs to be AI first, and it should become a very natural extension of their work rather than somebody driving this. This is boss. This is what you need to use AI for, and how you use AI. And in my experience, what I've seen is any tool which kind of people see direct advantage of gets used more than something which is thrust on them. So if they start seeing, so a lot of our first usage of AI by most of the team members were to polish their emails, right? They started writing really, really great emails. And that was because they saw the benefit, specifically maybe people who don't have really great grammar, etc. And then they were able to use that AI tool to write very polished emails. And that has become like a um, I mean, tool for writing good emails. And if this can happen if people can see this happening in data analysis, if the people can see it's like how Kiran was talking about that custom GPT, right? Now, if they can start seeing that, or in R&D, and they start seeing the benefit of doing much better quality work with little less amount of time, that is how I think AI adoption will be much more democratic in that sense. So that is how we are looking at it, trying to push all of us to look at solutions which would be AI first, rather than having champions and then driving that across the organization.
Any
So
moment in
that's
your journey which has been like a spark or something that has given you game-changing insight on this part? Because I'm sure this entire insight came somewhere from there. So any
Mm.
incident that you noticed that you could
I think data analysis has been something which has been extremely game changing, where you were able to analyze a lot of data at a very, very short pace, in a very short period of time, able to showcase those insights in front of the team while doing that, right? You upload a sheet and then you just ask those questions, and then it is able to generate those. So that is anything which in practice is seen by the team can become game changer. Anything which is like pushed out as an email or pushed out as it doesn't work. So that's what I've seen working for at least at the GoDesi.
understood.
So actually, if I can come in there, Vinay, that was an interesting
Yeah,
point you made on, getting the team to adapt or adopt AI rather. And it's pertinent for everyone on the call because, I think at least when I said needing an AI champion and the founder driving it is, one thing you would also agree is if it's like democratic and organic, it sort of takes its own time. But
sure.
we genuinely feel that, speed is of the essence. And when we say champions, it's like if I take DSGCP, right? So it's not
Right.
that, we're forcing people to do it. But what is clear is, as I said, everyone, the rule is everyone uses it for a couple of hours. You can figure out your own use cases. And even in our like weekly all
Sure.
hands meetings, etc., there's like half an hour dedicated to just discuss the latest learnings on AI. So the point we're trying to make is if like, the top management, the founders sort of show that passion and inspiration when it comes to becoming
Yeah.
AI first, it can just accelerate the whole process. Or you really run the risk of, letting the team realize it at their own pace, which may
Sure.
be too late and suboptimal. Right. So I just wanted to know your views and reactions to that because I'm sure a lot of
Yeah. I lost you, Hari, on that. Sorry, I lost the last 2 seconds.
I was just saying
Hari, you
that,
just asked.
one common thing I hear from founders is, there's the usual inertia to new
Hmm.
style of
Yeah,
working.
yeah, yeah,
Everyone is set in
yeah,
their
yeah,
ways. So
yeah,
I just think it needs that a little bit of heat and push from the top to inspire
yeah. Right,
everyone, and
right.
really, accelerate the change.
No, I think at no point my comment was on the speed of the change. I think the speed of the change needs to happen.
Mhm.
I just feel that it needs to be much more natural, in the sense where the impact is seen by that person through various case studies which are happening around the organization. Right? So we keep highlighting things which are happening, like for example, this automated PO2 sales orders was one thing.
Mhm.
The photo shoot is another thing, which we keep sharing within the group and within the team. Even the data analysis part of it is also shared within the team and within the group. So that kind of these kind of parts. My only piece with uh, that a champion who is maybe talking about AI to cross-functional teams might not drive it as much as a case study, or a specific tool which is actually impacting or actually improving their work styles. So that's where and that can happen much more organically if it is driven by that particular function itself. For example, the design team would love to adopt AI once they start seeing the benefits of that, rather than looking at, say, a data analysis case case.
No,
So
absolutely. Agreed. And yeah, it's like we'll do our best to showcase examples across functions and yeah, we'll look to every one of you also to help us help us with that. So align,
Yeah, I think
by showing by example.
Yeah, I think Hari, I mean, just the custom GPTs. The day I got to know about custom GPTs from Urmit, I went to at least three people within the team to try and tell them that how do we build custom GPTs, and we tried building our own stuff. I think those are the things which really excite when you put in. Again, happy to see seeing the operator live, right? It is just so fascinating, amazing to look at that kind of data analysis happening at such a fast pace. So I think these are the pieces which are going to accelerate the entire adoption of AI.
Sure.
Super. Thank you so much, Vinay. So if I have to go to the learnings, right? And so so this is most likely one of the most important slides that we have on the entire session, which is over the last 3 to 4 months, what we have curated a couple of learnings from working with the founders like Vinay or Kiran or Pranav. So the first one is the first point being founder-driven focus, right? I mean, if the founder can showcase or start working on the AI models or AI tasks themselves, the team will follow. This is the first thing that we have seen with Kiran as well. Second is with the appointing the AI champions. Um, I agree with Vinay's point on it being democratic. Meanwhile, I also agree with Kiran's point of having AI champions because AI champion will have dedicated time to explore the tools. Let's say if I want to explore operator at DSGCP, and right, I might create the entire workflow on how do we download the quarterly reports, analyze them, and then we figure out the SOP for it. Maybe the team might not be able to take out specific time just for the operator. Maybe they are really good with chat GPT and stress testing the ideas or thesis over there. So two things over there. So appointing AI champions maybe very vocally, or maybe it's you don't have to do it in a very structured manner, but at least identify the AI champions who can work on all these projects. The third thing that I've found really interesting is shared learning culture. So at DSGCP, at GoZero, even at Stay Vista, right? I have seen them sharing the wins and fails on a weekly basis. At Stay Vista, there is a Slack group wherein almost every how they've been using AI. At work, they have a AI leads and they do sessions over there. The third point is a share account. Mean by this is that maybe and again, I suggest you to use your own conscience on this. Maybe the entire team can use a single chat GPT account so that everyone can learn from each other's prompts or how they've been using it. So the third point is might look like very simple point, but it's one thing that has pushed me a lot in terms of learning. Now, in terms of the fourth point, right, which is the AI success sequence. So the mindset trumps the right tools. What I mean by the mindset is even when I had just chat GPT, I was able to do the quarterly reports analysis. So mindset will always trump the right tools. And over a period of time, you will figure out that this is the process which will save you a lot of time or generate X. Over a period of time. For example, the view now this from day one would have taken time, but given that they knew about the problem statement, given that they were able to ideate around it, the tool is there now. And about the fundamentals, right? So AI requires two things. One is the first party data, second is the AI literacy, and this becomes the proprietary edge over a period of time. So these are some of the learnings that we had from this entire whatever discussions that we have been doing or the one-on-one sessions that we have been doing as well as a part of the exercise. Now, putting out a couple of screenshots on how teams are actually using AI today. So if you see on the right-hand side, there's a screenshot of AI group on the Slack by Stay Vista, and almost everyone is putting out on how they've been using AI, maybe for drafting codes, automation, communication, or for researching and ideas. And there's a list of at least 50 people putting this out on the Slack group. I really like how Chris has put this on our WhatsApp group as well, that he doesn't, or one of the founders that he know doesn't review any work unless it's been reviewed by ChatGPT first. Might seem a bit far extreme, but makes sense as well. This one answer that I really liked on the topic AI at Stay Vista, wherein Akshay has been using AI in a function that is least expected, which is on ground. So for example, using data analysis tool or Power BI to figure out the staff productivity or feedbacks and crafting action plans, crisis management using to draft calm professional text for tough guests. Used AI for market research and trends when HOs complained of lack of revenue and less listings, etc. So really interesting part. There's an internal group that we have with GoZero, which is like super active, and there's always at least 10 to 15 messages a day over there. And this is what I was referring to, having a single ChatGPT account wherein multiple folks can have their own projects and everyone can learn from each other. So yeah, I've shared a couple of resources over here as well that we have found most useful. But this marks the end of the session. Happy to take up any questions, either for me, Kiran, Vinay, Hari.
Mohita's question.
Urmit, I think there was a question from Mohita. She wanted to know use cases for influencer marketing planning. Do we have any AI use cases for media planning and influencer marketing planning?
So I think similar to what we have seen, right? For influencer planning or media planning, if you can upload the past historical data on a custom GPT, let's say for the last 6 months, on how the sales looked like, on how did the media spends look like channel by channel, it can go through it and give you a media plan. Or to make it simpler, you can just upload the media plans or the historical data on ChatGPT, play around with it, ask it for the most optimized version. The idea is to figure out what sort of correlations are there. So for media, I'm going to optimize for the ROI. So let's say if I have to optimize it for the quick commerce, I would want to understand the levers on what levers are driving the sales. So in short, there's no solution that we have drafted down, but the task can be done. If that answers your question, Mohita.
Yeah, and we can take that one-on-one as well. Given this was the first session, we wanted to give a more bird's eye perspective. I think going forward, would love to have your feedback. We'll share the form if all of you can just take a couple of minutes. Pooja, can you just share the link to the feedback form in the chat box? Will be great to have your inputs on how we can improve in future sessions. We can do please take, the feedback form is in the chat box. Please just take a couple of minutes to fill it out. But really appreciate the turnout. Very happy to see more than 100 folks stay right through the session. As I mentioned, it is something where we want our portfolio to act fast. Just imagine a world where your competitor, acts on AI, crushes their cost structure by a third, improves their margin by a third, and improves their productivity by a third just by being AI first. It's a situation that can be avoided. We'd like our firms to be the ones that get there first, and we'll do whatever it takes to support you on the journey. We will have more of these sessions, rest of the year. So look forward to having you all in future sessions. And yeah, please take, we'll stay on for 5 minutes for you to just fill up the feedback form, and we're here to take any questions as well. And thank you so much for joining us again. We have one more question. Any of the tools have capabilities to... Yeah, I think this is there. Urmit, you want to take that, Malini's question?
Sure. So, Malini, I don't know about the top 100 products per se, but if you use Operator, it can go through the creatives or it can go through individual listings on its own. So in ChatGPT, there's a autonomous agent which is Operator. It can do this task. Let me just see if I can.
Yeah, I think this should be doable. We've not tried it, but maybe you can play
Correct.
the operator example.
Yeah, let me just play it again. So this is what it did with deconstruct brand, right? So I wanted to understand how deconstruct performs against Equalogica, or how are they doing on social media in general, on Instagram. So I asked it to go through 20 different images on its own. And this is not me operating, but this is the operator. And it's going through the Equalogica as well. And basis that we get these insights, which is that deconstruct has a content mix similar to this, creative themes, engagement efficiency. So if you draw a parallel, this could be done for Amazon listings as well. This is how I would look at it, but would have to give a very detailed prompt on what are the listings or what are the products that you would want it to go through.
Oh, wow, the accuracy is pretty impressive. You're saying replenishment is 90% accurate. All right, we'll maybe give it one more minute and we'll... Guys, please do fill in the form. It'll help us improve.
So I have two primary questions. The first question I had was on privacy, data privacy, right? So when I go to upload my MIS on ChatGPT and ask it to do analysis, is there any data leak risk which is hello?
Janil, as I said in my session, I think AI is coming after everyone. But knowing what we know in our jobs, I think VC will be like the last bastion, one of the last bastions for AI, because it's largely a judgment on people. But I don't think any profession is immune to the AI invasion. So it's important that we make them our friends. Great. think we'll share the form in the AI group as well. Please do fill in, guys, and thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did putting it together. Thank you so much. Thank you, Urmit. See you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.